Welcome back to another episode of the Dad Squad Solution. And we are talking today about an age-old topic, money, finances, and how does that work within a marriage, within a partnership. And we're specifically going to look around the table and see from a multicultural perspective, what do we expect in a partnership or in a marriage with money? And then we're going to hone on a little bit into the Asian culture and just see how they deal with money and how we can learn also, because they're fantastic. Chad, let's start off. So who holds the wallet?
Wow, that's a simple yet so complex question. And I think that when we compare, even within, let's talk about like the context of Asian cultures, even within Asian cultures, there's such a diverse viewpoint and practice when it comes to financial management in the family. So my wife is from the Philippines. And in their culture, it's actually quite normal, quite typical for the wife to manage the funds. Like the man is expected, of course, to provide, to be the main, maybe not the sole breadwinner, but the main breadwinner, the main provider. But the wife is actually supposed to manage the funds and take care of things at home. And so I think in that culture, I think the wife would probably have a greater say in how to use the money. But if you compare it to, let's say, in Japan, from what I heard in Japanese families, it's usually just all on the husband. She could voice her opinion, but I think the final decision when it comes to, that final yes or no, what should we spend on and everything, it's gonna be the responsibility of the man, right? So that's just an example of how diverse even in Asian cultures can be. And I think Thai culture has its own practices too. I think it also varies from family to family too. Right. But yeah, typically there is that expectation of the man being the provider, and then the wife could have a say or maybe not as much say in how to manage the money.
Yeah. So when we look at the man being the provider, right? So in the Japanese culture, the man is the one who goes out and he is the main breadwinner.
Yeah.
And then he starts to delegate where they use their money.
Yeah.
From an Asian perspective, and I would like to know from an African perspective, or Namibian perspective, do you think that holding and delegating the money is a sense of emotional expression as well? Like, honey, I will do this for us because I love you, so I don't want you to stress about the money. I will do that. Or is it something else?
I think it also boils down to trust, to the issue of trust. Like how much do you trust your spouse? I think once you're able to let them manage something so important like money, then I think it also shows that you have a great deal of trust in them, right? And how they will manage it and not overspend or misallocate, right? So okay, let's just maybe for myself, for my personal how we do things at home. For me, I am actually the main provider at the moment for the household, and my wife actually has a lot of you could call it voting power or say. For me myself, I think I tend to, believe it or not, sometimes I tend to spend on things that are not exactly necessary, and she kind of holds me back, saying, "Are you sure? This is not. Yeah, we don't need your accountability, right? Yeah." So she's excellent at saving and managing money, I would say. Maybe not so well versed. Not because it's her fault, but because she doesn't have the experience or the training in terms of like investing money, right? So that will be my part. So for investments, I would look at what is a good investment and go for it and discuss with my wife, and we go for it, right? But in terms of saving and managing and allocating money and spending money, I think she's excellent at doing it. So that's how we do it at home. But I think it really varies with many other families, even in just the same country or the same like Asian culture, right?
Right.
And like sometimes it's just all the wife, sometimes all the husband. I've seen some Thai families where the wife manages everything. Like she is the main breadwinner and also the manager of the household finances. So yeah, I think it's just so diverse. But like I said, there's this expectation of I think it's beginning slowly to change, but traditionally there's that expectation of the guy being the main provider of the house. Yeah, maybe there's a very deeply rooted cultural thing, or it could even be a biological thing. And we could talk about that later.
Like I feel like it's pretty much not similar, but similar in a way when it comes to like, I don't want to speak on a general platform when it comes to Namibians because I'm not present when different people in different countries or households are talking about their finances. But the one I can stem from is my personal experience in my household, right? I feel like growing up, seeing my parents handling money, I've gotten to see them handling money on a 50-50 basis. Not, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they split like the bills, they do the different things that needs to be done. They both have jobs. They both make an income. They put down money aside for certain things, and then they still have a personal balance that they get to use on themselves for certain things that, like what Chad said, for example, he tends to overspend on certain things, and his wife says, you know what, maybe not today. Maybe this is not a great choice, right? But then it boils down to the fact that, for example, if you had your personal account, TK, and your wife has a separate account, right? But there is a mutual account that takes care of all the general things that needs to happen because we're both making money. Yes, it might not be the same scale, but we're both making money, right? As the man, I'm going to put down money for like the mortgage. I'm going to put down money for this. I'm going to put down money for this big things. And as the woman, for example, you can put down money for groceries or, the smaller things. It's just a hypothetical. It's just an example, right, of how different societies or different households do things, right?
Right.
Having separate accounts for separate things, right?
Right.
Once you have taken care of all the major big things and stuff like that, and you want to spend on yourself, then you know that at least I don't have to dip into my kids' tuition fees. I don't have to dip into the house fees. I don't have to dip into this because I have my personal account. And having a personal account gives you the leeway to also be able to just do things for yourself without that constraint or that micromanagement over your head or anything, or it takes away the stress of you micromanaging somebody else because of the funds or because you feel like you are the one that makes the most money, so you have a bigger say.
Yeah.
Like I like with what Chad said as well, like he is the breadwinner, yes, for his household, but then his wife also has a voting rights. That's so sad, right? There is no power struggle when it comes to that between the two of you guys, right? But it's not the same in most households. No, other households is like, I make the most money, so I have the most say when it comes to finances, right? And having separate accounts takes away that pressure as well. In as much as you make the most money and I make little money, we put money together and that money is for general things that we need to take care of. And if you as my wife want to go spend on like most designer bags,
I tell my wife, go get designer bars.
there we go. So being able to just know that I can control my finances when it comes to what I want, luxury things I want, without somebody having a say over it. And then when the money is finished, it's finished, right? Like we're back to like, okay, how are we going to get past this? But at least we have not touched the important funds that needs to be present.
Right.
And I feel like I have kind of seen that in my household growing up, where there's one big account where money is in that takes care of general things, general school fees and stuff like that. But then my mom would have her own money still to be doing smaller things because she loves doing projects. She loves being, doing certain things. But then my dad,
Independent.
she is independent. My dad is a farmer as well, and he's out doing his thing and all of that. And when he's out of town and he's not available, my mom wouldn't want to, wait on
him.
green light from my dad and stuff like that. So I feel like that's what I've seen growing up. I personally feel like it was a great example, sin for me, because I feel like I love spending. Whether it's like a nice place I stay in, whether it's I just like nice things, right? So I would spend just for comfort, just to be comfortable and stuff like that. But then my comfortability it comes at a cost, but I don't want it to come at somebody else's say because you deem my comfortability as non-important or as not non-essential. That's the word, right? I don't want you to have to dictate that for me, right?
I recently had this similar to you, like about comfort, because okay, so I just came back from the Philippines. Love the people there, but it's just a very different life compared to here. And we take so many things for granted, you know, and you have no idea how good we have it over here. So many people still complain about where we're based and where we're at. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we're in Thailand. So a lot of people complain about Thailand, right? Thai people complain about it all the time, but they have no idea how good we have it. But anyway, long story short is I spent a couple of days in my wife's province over in the Philippines. And to be honest, I felt that I enjoyed, you know, being with the people, being with family, fellowshipping with them, but I had to really endure the environment. It wasn't at all relaxing. Okay, we spent a couple of days, like a little bit more than a week at my parent-in-law's house. And I just felt that, you know, for the very last day that we spent in the Philippines before we come back, we're supposed to go back to Manila the day before our flight, right? So I told my wife, hey, why don't we splurge a little bit? Why don't we spend a little bit more? You know, why don't we book a Hilton hotel there? And she was like, oh, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? That's very expensive. And so but I kind of insisted. I was like, you know, I think we earned this. Financially, we saved so many days. We didn't pay anything for like 9 days for accommodation, right? So why not use a little bit of that amount that we save on just one night in a luxury hotel? But she was like, nah, are you sure? I don't think we need this. Why don't we just book a simple one, like a 3-star hotel, and then just. But I'm like, I really want this. I really need this. Oh yeah, and then finally she relented. She was like, okay, all right, fine, okay, let's do it. So we did it at one of the best hotels. I kind of regretted it, Dip, because it was only for one night.
That bill.
But the bill is like, oh my goodness.
All right. So I have a few questions for you guys. All right. So Chad being Asian, married to another Asian, and TK being married to an Asian. Yeah. I have a quick question for both of you guys.
Got it.
How does financial transparency or the lack of it affect trust in marriage?
Ooh, that's a big one. So from Peach and I, right? So me coming from a Bahamian background,
There we go.
and you know, there's all kind of mixtures there. Our culture, though it has changed a lot in the last few years, is really a matriarchal situation. So you have the wives or the women inside the house, they will control most of the spending. Though the leader in the house is the husband, the wives will say they will do the budgeting, they will basically tell us how much we can use and so on and so forth. But I had a habit going into my marriage of spending on games. Like either mobile games or just like buying little things to play on my games and either what's not. And sometimes that would happen when I was upset or if I was having a bad day or something like that, I would just go and buy something to make me feel better. But it was actually very detrimental. And the reason why was one, my wife felt like I didn't trust her. And it had nothing to do with me not trusting her. It had all the things to do with me feeling ashamed of spending money where I didn't need to spend money.
Right.
So where I could have had a simple conversation with her or done something together with her to make me feel better, and that would have given me a long-term like feeling better, not just a dopamine hit. I was more of the mindset of I don't want her to be involved in this. Like I don't want her to know, so I'm just gonna buy and hide the receipts, and then I won't say anything. Well, it just so happens that she found every receipt. And the amount of shame and guilt that was on me and the pressure that was on her to be like, you spent like $100 this month on games. Like, we need to talk about this. Luckily, she wasn't as harsh as I thought she was going to be. So what I concocted in my mind, what I imagined in my mind was so much worse than, it was so much worse than what actually happened.
Right.
But she was really good with saying, hey, I'm not judging you, but we need to talk about the finances. We need to put limitations on what you can spend for and what's not. And it did cause a little bit of friction. If something says, and I'm putting dollars, if something says, oh, you can get this package for $2. Oh, this is because you bought this, you could buy this package too for $2. And then this package for $3. It adds up.
It's a kind of, when you watch YouTube and you binge watch, if there's a related video, it's basically you buy one thing, you buy another, like a chain buying thing. Right?
So it's, yeah, you start doing this chain buying thing, and then you think it made you feel better, and it actually just depletes your wallet down and down until you don't realize that you spent this lump sum of money when you calculate it. I was actually disbelief when she told me I spent $100. I was like, no way, I didn't spend that much. It was like $3 here, $3 there, and $30 here, and I'm like, wait, what?
$100 is crazy to me.
Yeah, but like I said, it was a time when I should have learned to have that conversation with my wife, and we agreed on it. And so yeah, transparency amongst a couple is very good, although you will feel the shame and you feel like, oh, because I don't have the financial literacy of my spouse, I don't think I can say anything. This imposter syndrome is coming forward. Like, I'm not smart enough. No, that is exactly what you need to do, is to have that conversation and be able to get on the same page with your spouse to help make sure that the devil does not use that to flip over your marriage.
I guess I can share a little bit from my experience at the moment. For us, we are pretty much transparent. Of course, not every single spending or not every single detail. We don't really share every single, little bits and pieces that we spend on it. Sometimes my wife would buy some things online, right? Like for Shopify or Lazada or whatever, for my son, right? Like some toys or maybe some clothes for herself or anything, small things. It's very small amount of money, so I don't micromanage. I don't expect her to tell me everything, but she would at the end. She'd say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I bought this. Can you go pick it up? It's already delivered already." And oh, so how much was it? It was like, oh, a few $100. Okay, that's fine, right? And for me, it will be things like breakfast. I tend to eat breakfast a little bit late and when I'm working, and I just go to the nearby supermarket and get something. And I actually buy quite a bit of things. You'll be surprised what I eat for breakfast. Should I share that right now? Okay, this is my typical breakfast menu. Okay, so I would buy some yogurt. I would buy a chicken essence, those brand essence taste. Then sometimes I would buy a mulberry blueberry juice, and then I would buy rice, like rice with the kapao.
This is only one sitting.
There's only one sitting. Yeah. So yeah, I would end up spending like maybe 100, 150, 160 baht just for breakfast. That happens maybe 3 to 4 times a week. Like there's gonna be one of those days that I skip all that. I just have a very simple breakfast, little snack that I can buy at school that I don't have to go out to shop for, right? But yeah, that kind of thing. I usually don't tell my wife spend this, but at the end I would tell her the billing, because most of these transactions we would use my credit card, and then at the end she would ask, okay, so what's the billing this month? What's the amount for this cycle? Right, and I'll tell her the amount. I'll show her all the details then. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, for us, Peach predominantly handles all of the finances. And when it comes to like bigger decisions, then I'm the one that gives like the final say. She'll bring it to me and say, hey, we need to spend several thousand baht for this. Like, yeah, what do you think about this? And so I will say, yes, we could do that, or no, we can't do that. But one of the things that I did incorrect that I didn't realize as well, and I think this is like the purpose of what we're talking about, right? Like, here's our failures. Don't do these things. Don't go down these paths. Is because of my spending habit before, I told Peach I wanted nothing to do with the finances. Like, don't show me the books. Don't show me how much we have been saving. Don't show me anything, because when I get in a bad mood, I'm going to want to spend it. I had to get to the point of realizing that her taking on that role and doing it solely by herself was a lot. That she had to look at the book. She rectified all her receipts. She was the one purchasing stuff online, the necessities and what's not. And I was just like, I just won't spend it all. Like my hands are off of it. And it wasn't until when we were in marriage counseling, and the marriage counselor said it's not healthy for her to do that by herself. Like, having this financial literacy and talking about finances is all about partnership. You have to partner with your finances. And this brings me to a question for you guys. What do you think about the saying that people say, if I'm the breadwinner, I'm the one that has, like you said earlier, Guy, has the bigger voice. I'm the one that has all of the control over everything. You're silenced because I make the most money.
I feel like your skills doesn't equate to knowledge. You might be skilled in being the breadwinner. You have ways of bringing an income into the family, right? You being the breadwinner, but also doesn't mean that you're financially smart to make decisions. So I feel like it needs to boil down. Yeah, it needs to boil down to a point of like, let's sit down and strategize.
Yep.
What are our weaknesses? What are our strong points, right? In a relationship.
Yeah.
Now, this does not take a father to say this, or it doesn't take a relationship to know this, right? And that's why I'm speaking on it, because I'm like,
You better preach.
you don't need to be financially smart for you to be able to make the decisions, right? Not all the time. So see what your partner's weaknesses are, what their strong points are. Yes, even though you make more money, it doesn't mean that you have the knowledge on how to spend this money. Like for me, for example, I feel like I'm not the smartest when it comes to spending my money, because I strongly believe that tomorrow will sort itself out, right? So if I am having my money today and I am not seeing anybody right now, I'm not responsible for anybody, and that's the same mindset I would have going into a relationship sometimes, right? And then when we get to that point, I spend the same way. I have a family that I have to take care of, and then I'm like, okay, listen, now that I've made all this money, I have done these things because that's what I'm used to, right? How are we going to spend it? Baby, let's sit down, let's strategize, let's talk about the books, the receipts, how it's going to look. I feel like my partner's input would be just as valuable in when it comes to like the decision makings. And that's, I feel like, a practice that Chad and his wife do, right? Yes, he is the breadwinner, but then his wife has the major say in it. Yeah. And it's not just because he is the breadwinner that he has the major say when it comes to his family, right? So all in all, I'm just saying that you might have the skill set, but you don't always have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So sit down with your partner, sit down with your spouse, and just strategize, see how you can go about different things in a different way that works for both of you guys. Because I had another question that I wanted to ask you guys as well, which was, for example, in the faith aspect, right? We have what we call our tithes, our offerings, right? Me going to church on a Sunday, I'm used to giving, there's no negotiation about it, right? I'm always gonna give. I'm always just giving my tithes, I'm giving my offerings, I'm helping where I can at the church, right? How does that look like bringing somebody else who does not probably share the same mindset of giving to the church, comes into my life, and they're like, oh, you cannot be giving that much money out just to the church? I'm like, how would you guys go about that? Like, what knowledge would you have? Because I feel like you guys have so much knowledge. You guys both being Christians as well. I feel like you understand where I'm coming from with this question, right? So I'm like, because sometimes it's a huge lump sum of money that we give to the church just out of obligation, or like because that's what we have to, right? But like, my partner will not see the necessity in it and hold time. How do we go about that? Like, do I just say, oh, okay, you know what, because my partner is not happy with it,
Right.
you just compromise, give?
Yeah.
Or because it's for God. My partner is not happy with it. I don't care how she feels. I'm still gonna give. Like, let me hear what you guys have to say on that.
You're getting into this marriage by your own will, by your own volition, right? So, if you made that choice already, you have to realize that you are not just one person now. You are a family, and the family is one unit. Even if you are the main or the only breadwinner or provider of the house, you have to realize that, hey, the people that are in your family, they are essentially an extension of you, right? They're like, I want to quote a recent movie that I saw. I don't want to mention the name, but the movie basically says that having family is like having extra body parts, but you can't always control the body parts. But you feel the pain when one of your family, like if your wife or your kid, if they are in pain or if they suffer, do you also feel the pain?
Yeah.
But you cannot directly control what they do.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's your one body, your one unit. So basically, you have to really respect what your spouse opinion on how to spend the money is, and look at the needs of the family. You cannot just think about yourself. Right. So this is also something that I am still working on too. I still have this remnant thought of, okay, I make the money, I should have the right. But we have to always remember that once you become family, responsibilities trumps rights. So we all talk about rights, but we think about the responsibility that we have towards our family, towards our spouse. Our trust, this is actually referencing the trust, right? The, looking after the other person and thinking about other people first before yourself, right? Especially your spouse, especially your family. Yeah, that mentality really has to go if you want to maintain a healthy relationship.
One of my key points is take 3 huge steps back. That should be a conversation that you'll have from the get-go.
Yeah.
Is here are some core values that I hold very dear, and I want to give, like, my obligation as a Christian is I want to tithe, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how much money is in the bank account, I will give. And is that a core value that you hold to, or is this something that you are going to be okay to submit to when we become an item or married or whatever?
Yeah.
And honestly, you're not wrong for having that as a core value, and she's not wrong for saying, I don't have that as a core value. That is, if that is not something that she holds dear, she has the right to say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to spend money that way. And so she goes to find a man with the same core value as her.
And what if I love her though?
There's actually a saying that says love is not enough when it comes to relationship. Love is not enough. You have to have these difficult, hard talks, talking about financial values, talking about core values, talking about personal beliefs, talking about even history.
Have those conversations at the very, very beginning. Align yourselves so it doesn't become a problem later. You've already addressed it, and you've already kind of come to an agreement, and you have accountability on it from the very beginning. And so, yeah, I rather what is it? Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. So me and Beach, before we had our making it official, we actually sat down for like several hours and just talked about our core values back and forth. Right. And for the most part, like, we were all okay. The areas that we weren't 100% on because cultural differences.
Yeah, right.
We were able to compromise in those areas just because of the culture.
Minor things.
And they're very minor, very, very minor. But the core areas, we aligned perfectly. And so that's how I knew. I was like, God, this woman, yeah, definitely for me.
Yeah. Yep. So here's like a follow-up then to Kai's question. So what if you're already in, so I'm sure that many of our listeners are in that situation where they didn't have that talk, but now they're married, now they have a family, they have kids, but they realize, oh, yeah, when it comes to this and that, especially with money, we don't see eye to eye. So what about those people? Like, what kind of advice can we give them?
I come back to the same thing. Realign yourselves. You've got to get to that point where you have those conversations, list those core values, and then say, how do we bridge the gap in between these 2 core values?
Yeah.
So you may not want to tithe. Well, okay, I would like to. So how about we use a portion of my check for tithing, and then the portion of your check will be for all of the other things. Or if you want to mix it together, then you find a way to say, okay, we allocate these budgets, but this gets cut off and we don't even see that. It automatically leaves. You just have to find a way to just realign yourself. And sometimes it comes to the point where you need that third person, which I always say a trained counselor, marriage family counselor, to help you realign yourself, or your pastors or trusted mentors who are married and have well-structured marriages in that area, especially the finances. That will always be good. Stay away from the free radical people that will tell you, no, that's your money. You should let them do this. Your money. You need to do that. No. Find people who will say, stay in alignment with your wife and your husband and unity for your finances.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Just to reiterate what has been said, love is not always enough. Find your priorities and find that alignment with your partner so you can know where you guys both stand when it comes to finances and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's not a cultural thing. It's not a national thing, but it's a thing between you and your spouse in your household. So whatever works for you guys should be a way of you guys approaching the situation. If you guys have any comments, please do leave them down in the comment section down below, and would love to get to each and every one of those comments. We would love to just connect with you guys, hear what's on your heart, and see where you guys, are going with your finances as well. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It is Dad Squad Solution all across the platforms. We would love to hear and see what you guys have to say as well. Keep them coming. We love you guys. And yeah, any last thoughts, guys?
See you next. So remember, responsibilities over your rights.
Responsibilities over your rights. See you in the next episode, guys. See ya.